Because by the way, one obvious one to me is one that I know is. This is another thing about Reddit narratives. Reddit narratives really are like that quote about fools decide cases, because once people decide they know something on Reddit, mate, no amount of evidence can change their mind. So I'll give you an example. Yeah. Because Riot claimed viewership wasn't good enough when they split the broadcast and did the best of threes. They then went back to best of ones. And because Riot was like, and the viewership's better, that's now like set in stone as like the fucking, that's like the fourth physics law of thermodynamics. Like it can't ever be changed. And it was always true that only best of one. Like, I don't accept assumptions like that. Like, I'm open to the premise. Like, listen, I'll be cynical enough, maybe it's true. But like, we can't just throw things like that away, because like having your format be best of one, when you're then going to go and compete against a bunch of regions that play best of three, that's going to be a factor. You can't just dismiss it. And in my opinion, it makes all these other things worse. Like I said, I think it makes Reddit narratives get 10 times worse if you play one game, if that's the sample size for the guy and how we're going to judge him.
I mean, it's not just that, but it's just they're practicing. You know, they're playing 5 games a day, 4 days a week. Scrims, so there's at least 20 games there. There's probably another 10, 20 games, 30 games of solo queue there, and then they go out on stage and play 2 best of ones, and that's entirely what they're decided on. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, that whole thing about the best of one system we currently have in place with the amount of games we're playing is really irking me. It's really getting to my nerves, because I mean, I grew up with a whole 28 game schedule. It was 28 games, 7 times 4. So we had Super Weeks and whatever it is, but the excitement that you had like for those preparations, was way higher than you have for any kind of practice scenario. Because like even in sports, we think about it, like, I mean, soccer is a bit different, I guess, because you have a 90-minute game every weekend, but even then you have some kind of like, let's say the UEFA Cup is coming in between, or let's say the National Cup is in between, so you have like maybe 2 games a week. So it's actually like maybe not even that different to American sports, but it's like in every American sport you have like fucking almost like a game twice or thrice a week, at least, like twice or thrice a week. So no matter what, you're going to be playing a lot. And what that does to you is actually get that incentive up to actually try hard as possible, because you have that kind of like local incentive. You don't have to wait a week. Like we're all kind of like, maybe it's just us being stupid and being too in the moment and not having that long-term focus. But I do think it plays a huge role, because if you have that like incentive to, okay, I have an opener in 2 days, I have to prepare for him. Suddenly practice gets incentivized in that kind of direction. And I think I don't care about the viewership at that point. I care about the competitive aspect of it. Like it is so much more important to produce a good competitive like scene, more so than it is like that creates entertainment in the end. And if you have teams only clashing every single weekend, like what the hell are you going to improve with? Like it's 4 days of scrimming. You're going to be fucking tired at the end of it. You just want to get to the games. You're happy that the games are happening because you're tired of the scrimming. And then the games are happening, the day is over, and then you have like maybe half an off day. So how is this? The structure itself is like the structure we enforced from the top down, at least in that regard, is really bad. And also like taking that as gospel with the viewership and everything like that. Well, I know that there are certain numbers that obviously favor like a best of one system over best of three system, but honestly speaking, you're also playing more games. Jesus Christ, you play a best of 3. So obviously the viewership is going to be diverted over those 3 games potentially. It's a bit of a horror for timing it, but like Jesus Christ, was so hyped to play them, and was so hyped to watch them, at least to me, because I knew, hey, game 1 went that way, game 2 went that way, game 3 is going to be exciting. Like, and the argument was also, if we have bottom 2 teams facing up against one another, then it's going to be boring for the people. Well, honestly speaking, we shouldn't have bottom 2 teams fighting it out. Every team should be trying to be competitive in the first place. And there should be some kind of incentive to have some kind of parity. And the incentive is kind of gone when you play little games, because you can kind of have that week-old excuse and be like, okay, this weekend didn't go well, or next weekend didn't go well. But you don't have that daily proving grounds of like, oh, I have to compete now, I have to compete today. And like all these things drive the competition forward. And I think I would like to see that from Riot Games, that they're actually creating that. And I mean, we talked about the whole grassroots issue too. That's like the next step, obviously, like make sure that that's kind of like unnixed, as you put it, like making sure that actually comes back, where they have that agency, but they're not using it properly. They're denying it from the people that could potentially run like anything below the competitive scene, like the Riot competitive scene. They deny that. And that is insane to me. Like, why are you denying it?